You've been there, under pressure. Working to pay for the groceries, the mortgage, water bill, electric bill, cable bill, insurance bill. And you got the car payment, school expenses, and more. You can't even afford to go on vacation. But you just paid $300 to fix the garbage disposal. Before you know it, you're looking at another birthday, another anniversary or holiday, thinking, wherever did the time go? Maybe it's time for a change. Hi there, I'm Kim Komando, and this podcast is about giving up all your material possessions and putting your life into perspective. I want you to meet Jackie and Hal. They're very special to me, and I consider them family. Jackie came to work for me as my personal assistant over 10 years ago, but she quickly became so much more than that. She truly is an amazing person. Jackie's kind, she's loyal, she's godly, and she's very loving. Jackie surprised me about a year ago when she told me that she wanted to retire. But then I was downright shocked to find out what she and her husband were about to do. To say it's unconventional is an understatement. One day I walk into the office and Jackie has tears in her eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, Jackie, what's wrong? And she looks at me, she's like, we have to go in the conference room. And I'm like, oh no, did I make the woman cry again? Like, what did I do now? Tell me, was I really meanie pants? And Jackie looks at me and says, she's going to retire. I'm like, retire? You can't retire. You're not allowed to retire. She's like, no, really, I'm going to retire. And then I said, what are you going to do? She's like, well, we're going to sell everything and get an RV. And I'm like, you're going to live in an RV with Hal? You think that's a good idea? Hal and Jackie are back from their first year being on the road. No house, no jobs, nothing that ties them down to one particular place. They've had some up and downs, but they say they've loved every minute of it. You could probably learn a few things from their adventure. I sure did. And to let you know, they didn't go into this lightly. They planned and they planned, they researched and researched, and in fact, it took months for Hal to agree that it might even be a good idea.
Jackie came home to me after I had complained for a long time not being able to see kids and spend quality time with family. And she said, well, let's just sell everything and buy a bus. It took me 2 or 3 months to even get my mind wrapped around that idea because of the home-based situation. I couldn't imagine not having a home,
right.
Stick and brick, we call them in the RV world. And it took a while to do that.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more. Hit the road, Jack.
Here's the plan. Take a year to travel across the United States, from coast to coast, visiting kids and grandkids, cousins, uncles, aunts, and then, when it's all done, do it all over again. But first, Jackie and Hal had to downsize. That means getting rid of everything except only the essentials. And I mean everything, including the kitchen sink.
We opened our house up on one of our garage sales and sold. People came in and bought everything off the walls and curtains and furniture, everything.
It's kind of sad, wasn't it, seeing everything go, or was it a release?
I think it was a release for me.
Absolutely.
It was very exciting because we had this plan and this adventure that we were going to go on, and watching it go out the door was okay with me.
So what'd you keep?
A few family heirlooms. Actually, our kids took some of those things off our hands.
You don't need all this stuff.
No.
No, you don't.
Is there anything you miss? You got rid of?
It's amazing, Kim, because Jackie did a tremendous job when we were selling. She had several garage sales and then the big open house. And she literally got rid of stuff that, it was a little bit hard in a way. But now that we've been on the road for a year, she is still paring down and getting rid of stuff as we went on the road. And she has made herself actually more space. So space-wise, we're in great shape. We have a lot to offer.
Hal and Jackie sold everything. Curtains and bedding, artwork, furniture. They figured it was just stuff. And that stuff was holding them back from enjoying life. Despite getting rid of everything, these self-proclaimed vagabonds did have to make one major purchase before hitting the open road. They had to buy an RV. Hal and Jackie, well, they call it a bus. and I quickly discovered that not all buses are created equal.
Trailer for sale or rent. Rooms to let 50 cents. No phone.
RVs are a funny thing. Everybody has a different purpose for what they're going to use it for. And so you have to find pretty much what we had to do is find out what worked for us based on what we were going to do. And that was basically travel 4 times a year and stay 2 or 3 or 4 months in each place. And so we were going to be living pretty much at a dead stop other than when we moved from one area of the country to the other. And so we had to find a bus that would be able for Jackie and I to live together in it without hurting each other. And
Yeah, the longest bus with the most slides wins.
And slides are not like the slides that you and I are thinking of. These are slide outs
Exactly.
that make the bus even bigger.
bigger, right?
You had your criteria for the bus.
Yes.
And now, Jackie, what was your criteria?
A decent kitchen in it because I like to cook and bake. And
Which was one of the reasons why we have just missed you incredibly. Let me tell you, the cookies and the cupcakes and the cakes. One time, I don't know if you remember this, when Ian was probably 5 or 6, you made Ian a cake for his birthday.
I remember.
And he's a Hot Wheels guy and he loves cars. And I had a heck of a time with the cake because the kids thought the cake was a toy because it was so beautiful. And I'm like, get your hands off the cake. Don't touch the cake.
I remember that, a racetrack. Yep.
So you needed to have a great kitchen.
Yeah, and of course, there's only so much room in the bus. So, you have a table, and I have a countertop that is very small. But the most important thing for me was the oven. There's a basement under the bus that has big pull-out drawers.
Wait, the bus has a basement?
It does. Yes.
There's no one living in the basement. And despite it being climate controlled, Jackie and Hal suggest against anyone sleeping down there. I agree. I checked it out. They're not the only ones in the nation who have given up everything to travel the country. Others have already pioneered the way. Hal and Jackie have also discovered the best way to learn is by hearing other people's mistakes.
When you go out and you start Googling for motorhomes and asking questions via Google, you find that there are a lot of forums out there. And we were fortunate enough to find a lot of my questions, I would get the same forum would pop up and say, look at this at IRV2. That's the name of the website that we're on, or the forum that we're on. And my gosh, there's, a couple of 100,000 members. And so the experiences are totally vast. And you just begin at the beginning, and these folks are online and they're happy to help you. One of the sites that I go to a lot, it's not uncommon to have 600 or 700 people logged on to that same place in the forum.
Which is a lot. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. And you get a lot of comments, a lot of remarks, a lot of help. You get a lot of other stuff too, but you have to weed through all of that. But it was a tremendous amount of help, and it helped us find the bus, what was important, what we should be looking for, the technical aspects of this whole thing, what that all means. They even got into costs. We looked at other people's budgets before we even sat down to do this.
The long and winding road that leads to your door.
This couple, formerly from Phoenix, now has a South Dakota mailing address. That's also where they're registered to vote. My question to them, why the heck is it South Dakota?
They have service up there that allows us to have a kind of a permanent address situation where all of our usually junk mail goes. And once a month or so, I can go online and have them send our mail to us. Oh. And they have a service that they provide to do that.
Do they do anything like scan the mail so you can look at it to say send this or don't send this?
There are businesses out there that do that. This particular one does not. And, we got the least expensive possible because we don't have any mail. We're pretty much all electronic. But you still have to have a mailbox. And that service was least expensive, and they do a great job.
Hal and Jackie may be without a stick and brick, but that doesn't mean they're living off the grid. what are you doing for the internet and TV and football games? And how do you get all this stuff on the road?
Well, every place is different that we go, and it was an adventure for us, obviously, because we didn't know for sure. But obviously, I did a lot of research before we went, and so we had some ideas about what might work and what might not work. Every park that you go into is going to be a little different in that they may have internet available. However, it's not all that secure, so you have to be careful what you do. We do everything electronically. We have literally no mail or bills that come in U.S. mail anymore. Everything is electronic, and thanks to you partially. And some of the parks, as I said, have internet. Some of the parks had no phone service, but that blew my mind. In California, I mean, you'd think you'd really have good phones. We didn't have phone service there, but we used the internet to do phone via Facebook and other ways.
So you could text and get out, but there were no bars.
Exactly.
Wow.
And you couldn't really use your phone. The places that we didn't have internet, obviously we would use our hotspots on our phone because we had phone service. Even traveling down the road, Jackie worked sometimes even for you.
You're like, God, make the woman go away already.
We'd be cruising down the road, and Jackie'd be back at the desk, and she'd have her hotspot on and her computer fired up, and we were live and going. TV, we have a satellite dish on top of the bus.
Okay. All right.
And so we get satellite TV, and everywhere we go, we just punch it in, and it finds the satellite, and we're good to go.
Now, when you're at the parks, it's free Wi-Fi, so you're not doing banking or anything on that because you know it's not secure.
Absolutely.
So when it comes time to do banking, you're doing it on like an app on your phone?
We do it on app on the phone, or we'll hotspot into the computer.
Being on the open road by yourself does take a little bravery, but Jackie and Hal insist they're never alone. They have this really great support system. It consists of family and friends, but also others who have ventured out on the road before them. Jackie and Hal have met a lot of these adventurers. Jackie calls them characters.
There are some people that you just totally connect with, like you've always known them. And it's funny how that happens. I mean, I never thought about it until we went out on the road and did this, but the first park, there were several couples there that we just connected with right away. They were full-time RV people doing the same thing that we were doing, only for different reasons. And so,
what were their reasons?
There's one couple in their 50s. She had a medical problem, and unfortunately, her health is going to be going downhill. So her husband sold his business, sold their home, sold everything they owned, and bought her this biggest bus he could find. Beautiful, beautiful bus. And they hit the road, and his idea is to take her any place she wants to go.
Before her health gets.
Exactly.
And they're basically seeing the country.
Yeah.
Their reason is we want to see the country, and at the same time, pick up family along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Some people still have their home, and they just like to travel. So one other couple we met from New York rented out their home and just went and bought, they're on their
fifth wheeler.
Yeah, fifth wheeler, actually. And they live in that, and they just travel all over the place. They're having so much fun, and I don't think they're so much about family as just going places.
Yeah, they're just out and about having fun.
Then we met another couple who have a 45-foot diesel bus like us, and they're retired registered nurses. The husband and wife are both registered nurses, and they're kind of visiting family too, but they're putting in a lot of trips in between, and they just want to travel.
No matter who Jackie and Hal meet, they instantly have a connection. That's because they've discovered, no matter their background, they truly have something in common.
What's really fun is a lot of these people that we've hooked up with, we all come from different places and have done different things, but we have a thing in common, and that's, out on the road and doing the things that we're doing. We're all gathering, and we'll all get together again, which will be just a hoot.
On Facebook, I see pictures of you, Hal. It looked like you were like in a John Deere tractor. What was that about?
Well, a lot of the places that we go to, they have positions available where you can work a few hours a week and help pay for your site. In fact, the one you're speaking about, I mowed some lawns and did about 15 or 20 hours a week of work, which kept me out of trouble. And quite frankly, I can't sit around and just do nothing. So being able to help out at the parks that we go to has been really a great advantage. And none of them have been a bad experience. our last spot we were in, I did, 4 or 5 hours a night driving around a golf cart. They call it security, but basically all I did is cruise around. And I would take Jackie with me because the park, as I said, was back in the mountains. And it was not uncommon for us to be driving down these little gravel roads between the campsites and have deer on both sides of the of the golf cart.
Part-time work doesn't stop at driving golf carts and providing security. Al and Jackie say they'll pretty much do anything to lend a hand.
Al even flipped burgers.
Did you?
I did. They were having problems.
Have a little
Their
sign that
chef
said
had
Hal? Little name badge, Hal.
Yeah, that they had just lost their chef and they were in a real bind. And so Jackie went in and made pizza dough and made pizza in an outdoor oven. And I went in the back and flipped burgers and made French fries for the folks that were coming in. It was fun.
Hal says there's huge benefits to helping out. That's because these parks invite them back year after year. And that's helpful when they're looking for a place to rest their rig or bus. Costs for a park can range anywhere from $35 a night up to $75 a night, or maybe even more.
Get into some of these RV resorts, and they've got every amenity that you can imagine. And
like spas? I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely. They'll be on a golf course. They'll have 2 or 3 swimming pools, and they'll have hot tubs and meeting rooms and games and, just about everything you can imagine. It's all in what you're kind of looking for. For us, we like camping. And so most of the places that we stayed were pretty much hardcore. The last place in California, we're in the mountains below a dam with pine trees around and a river running down through the park. And it was hardcore camping.
Hardcore camping in an 8-foot bus. Okay, that's not what I would call hardcore camping. I mean,
well, for us.
I mean, hardcore camping is when I had to take Ian to Boy Scout camp and pinch a tent. And
that's hardcore.
And hearing mountain lions and going, you know what? I don't know if I was made for this. Does anybody know I'm really from New Jersey? Of course, there are some dangers to living on the road. They liken it to camping. That's because they've slept in parking lots and rest stops, in backyards and under trees. But they've never had trouble, and every day is a new experience, especially driving this massive vehicle down the interstate highways and byways.
Big piece of equipment, and you're cruising right along. I mean, it's nothing for me to set the cruise at 70 miles an hour down the freeway. But when you think about having to stop it and shut that thing down, so there's a bit of a hazard there. Dangerous? I wouldn't say it's dangerous. It's like anything else. You have to take care of it, and you have to drive very defensively and plan way, way ahead and know where you're going so that you don't get stuck somewhere, because it's not that easy to turn that sucker around.
Have you hit anything?
Do we have to talk about that?
Oh, you did?
Learning curve.
We were in a situation where construction was involved, and we got ourselves in a little bit of a tight situation. And, your eyes can only be at one place at a time. And I did snuggle up against a rail a little bit. And,
snuggle up against the rail.
And skinned a little paint. Nothing major, but...
it was good. There was no harm, really?
Well, a little dent and a little paint scrape, but, no big deal.
Jackie and Hal agree it's been an incredible year on the road. They've renewed relationships with family and friends they haven't seen for years. They're willing to travel anywhere because, hey, there's nothing holding them back. Pure freedom, as they put it. 2 people constantly side by side, traveling together, sleeping together, eating together. You may think that they're getting on each other's nerves, but just the opposite is happening. Their relationship is getting stronger.
I had read on a couple of the RV forums that some people were having very much increased relationships with their spouse when they were out doing this. And I thought, that would be kind of cool, but it really happens, and it's amazing. We're having a ball.
Well, it makes sense because you don't have the daily stresses. And I have to tell you, folks, Hal had your job with the airlines was very stressful. Would you say?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you'd come in to pick up Jackie, and you were all frazzled. And you were flying from point A to point B, and then dealing with people with the terminals and the airlines and negotiating and unions and things. You look totally different. I actually think that you've probably gained at least 10 years on your life.
Wow.
because
That's cool.
because you don't look 70. You know what? If I just were to see you walking down the street, I'd say, what? That's a hot looking 60-year-old guy. And Jackie, too. Jackie looks like, I would say, probably mid-50s.
Oh, I could hug
Yeah.
you.
Does that mean you're coming back to work? I've always considered both of you to be family. And my father used to have a saying. He'd say, you have to help the family. Whatever it was is help the family. You know, since you guys been back, and I've been thinking about how you could help me, the family. And I think we ought to wrap that bus in the Kim Komando Show logo.
I think it's a great idea, quite frankly.
What do you think?
I think it's a great idea.
I
Just roll that sucker right in. You can put my face on the side of it. I'll be waving that little PR wave. Hi.
And it's not that we've not talked about that, Jackie. I talked
And then,
about
you know,
that. I've
so
talked
cool.
about that a
And then
few
in the
times.
basement, you know, you have all that empty space now. You could have Kim Komando Show water bottles, hats.
Exactly.
Get you a little square. You could have like a little
Set up
retail
a little
store
table.
going on.
Yeah.
Gotta help
Wouldn't
the
that be
family.
fun? Sure.
And while she's in Phoenix, Jackie has helped me once again get things done around the office. In fact, she's collecting resumes and interviewing people to find my next personal assistant. But she came to work the other day and it looked like she was crying. No tears, she said, just allergies. I asked if there was anything I could do, and she laughed and explained Al said if she really wanted to get rid of her allergies, they could drive the bus to Santa Barbara and stay there for a few days. Now, on a serious note, both Jackie and Hal seem a heck of a lot happier. They say it's not the same old grind, and they look forward to waking up every morning and seeing where the road will take them next. Sounds great, doesn't it? Now, who's up for a road trip? I know I am. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Kim Komando. Just want to remind you that wherever the road takes you, you can find my radio station in your hometown. You can check our map over at komando.com. That's KOMANDO.com.